Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive right into something we literally all deal with. The everyday puzzle of why prices for the stuff we buy just seem to change constantly. If you've ever walked into a store or been scrolling online and thought, wait, wasn't this a totally different price last week? You are in the right place. Today, we're going to decode the invisible forces that actually dictate those numbers on the price tags. Let's start with something super relatable. You know how it is during mango season, right? Early on, your family might buy a few kilos, and they are pretty expensive. But then, mysteriously, just a week or two later, bam, the price literally drops in half, and suddenly everybody is buying them by the absolute crate load. Or think about booking a trip. Have you ever noticed how the exact same hotel room, I'm talking the exact same bed, the same view, is a totally reasonable $1,500 on a random Tuesday, but jumps to an absolutely crazy $25,000 on a holiday weekend? It feels like chaos, but I promise you, these extreme price jumps aren't just random. They're driven by very specific, measurable forces. To really get a handle on this puzzle, picture a bustling, everyday market. It's not just a place to grab veggies, it's literally a physical arena where two massive, invisible forces are playing a constant game of tug of war. Everything from the cost of the taxi waiting outside to the price of the watermelons on the carts is being decided right here, in real time, by the rules of demand and supply. Section 1. Decoding the demand side. Let's dive right into the first force in our tug of war, your perspective as a buyer. So first up, we need to get our definitions straight. Demand isn't just about wanting something. I mean, sure, I want a private jet, but I definitely do not have the demand for one. Real demand is your willingness to buy something, completely backed up by the ability or the purchasing power to actually pay for it at a specific price. Which brings us to a fundamental rule, the law of demand. It's a pretty straightforward inverse relationship. Basically, as the price of a product falls, the quantity that consumers demand naturally goes up. It's just human nature, right? When things get cheaper, we're going to want more of them, assuming we've got the cash on hand. Let's look at this in action with a shopper named Srivali, who clearly loves mangoes. Now, when they're sitting at a pricey 150 rupees a kilo, she plays it safe and just buys 1 kilo. But when that price drops to 100 rupees, she feels she can afford 2. And at 50 rupees, forget it, she's walking out with 3 kilos. This right here is her individual demand schedule. And here is where it gets super interesting, because individual choices like Srivali's add up to shape the entire economy. If we zoom out and throw other shoppers like Alex and Israt into the mix, look at the total market demand. It absolutely surges from 6 kilos all the way to 18 kilos when the price drops to 50 rupees. The market as a whole is incredibly responsive to these price drops. But hey, it's not just the price tag on that specific item that changes our habits. The price of other related stuff matters a ton too. Take substitute goods, like tea and coffee. If coffee suddenly gets way too expensive, people just switch to tea. Demand for tea shoots up, even though the price of tea didn't change at all. Then you have complementary goods, stuff used together. If smartphones become crazy expensive, fewer people buy them, which means the demand for the earphones that go with them is going to absolutely tank. There's also a whole bunch of other everyday things that shift our demand without the price tag ever changing. If our income goes up, we buy more. Our personal tastes matter. Then there's this thing called diminishing marginal utility. Basically, the first mango is amazing, the second is great, but by the fourth one, you're kind of over it and won't pay much for another. Seasonality is huge, too. Nobody's buying heavy winter sweaters in July. And finally, expectations. If you know a massive holiday sale is coming next week, your demand today just drops to 0 because you're holding out. Section 2, Understanding the Supply Side. Let's flip the script and look at this from the seller's point of view. So supply is the quantity of a product that sellers are willing and able to offer at a specific price. But remember, buyers and sellers are playing completely different games. Sellers are all about that profit incentive. They're constantly crunching the numbers to see if dragging their goods to the market is actually worth their time, effort, and resources. Because of that profit motive, the law of supply works in the exact opposite direction as demand. As the price goes up, the quantity supplied goes up. It's a total no-brainer. Higher prices mean higher potential profits. That encourages current producers to ramp up production, and it even drags brand new sellers into the market who want a piece of the action. You can see this play out perfectly with sellers A, B, and C here. At a measly 50 rupees, they're only offering a combined 6 kilos. Like, it's barely worth starting the truck for that. But watch what happens when the price hits 150 rupees. Suddenly, everybody is rushing to the market, pulling out all the stops to supply a massive 18 kilos just to maximize those earnings. Sellers are also constantly weighing their options to chase the highest profit. Picture a farmer trying to decide what to plant next season. If the market price for wheat is rock bottom right now, but chickpeas are soaring, well, the choice is obvious. They're going to pivot and plant chickpeas. The supply of one thing is heavily dependent on how profitable the alternatives are. And just like with demand, other factors can shift supply in a heartbeat. More sellers jumping into the market, total supply goes up. Tech upgrades are a game changer too. Stuff like weather sensors on farms or high-tech cold storage means producers can supply way more goods way more efficiently. Plus, sellers look at the future too. If wholesalers think potato prices are going to skyrocket next month, they will absolutely hold back their supply today so they can cash in later. Section 3, Finding Market Equilibrium. Now we reach the big showdown, where these two competing forces finally clash. Now, before they settle down, there's a lot of friction. If the price is too low, you get excess demand, a shortage. Buyers want way more than what sellers are offering, which creates a massive buying frenzy, and prices naturally get pushed right back up. On the flip side, if the price is too high, you get excess supply, or surplus. Sellers of product just rotting on the shelves, and they panic, slashing prices and offering discounts just to clear their inventory. But all that pushing and pulling eventually lands us at market equilibrium. This is the sweet spot. It's the exact point where the quantity sellers are offering perfectly equals what buyers are demanding. The market is cleared. There's no shortage, there's no surplus, and the price just stabilizes. Looking back at our mango data, you can spot this equilibrium perfectly. At 40 rupees, there's a huge shortage. At 150 rupees, sellers are drowning in mangoes. But 100 rupees? That is the magic number. At exactly 100 rupees, the 12 kilos that buyers want perfectly matches the 12 kilos that sellers are offering. Balance is achieved. Section 4, Real-World Dynamic Pricing. Okay, equilibrium looks beautifully neat on a table, right? But let's be real, the real world is incredibly messy. Let's shatter the illusion of a permanent equilibrium. Take a look at this hotel in Goa. Our room on a quiet, rainy Monday in July is a totally reasonable $1,500. Fast forward to a busy December weekend, that exact same room is $8,000. And New Year's Eve, when demand just goes absolutely through the roof and there are only so many rooms in the city, boom, it hits a staggering $25,000. Equilibrium isn't permanent. It is constantly shifting. To keep up with this chaos, modern markets use dynamic pricing. Hotel managers aren't just setting a price and walking away. They are literally sweating behind their screens, monitoring everything in real time. How fast are we booking up today? What's the hotel next door charging? Is there a local festival this weekend, or did a massive tour group just cancel? A sudden cancellation means instant excess supply, and managers might slash room rates by 40% overnight just to get heads in beds. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to really think about. Every choice we make shapes these supply and demand curves. But things like our relentless demand for fast fashion or draining groundwater just to supply cheap crops can permanently wreck future supply. So, as active players in this huge market, should we only be chasing short-term gains and low prices today? Or do we seriously need to start thinking about long-term sustainability? How might our current habits permanently break the market equilibrium of tomorrow? Thanks so much for exploring the price puzzle with me today.